Hello and welcome to week six of high school football Friday night. I'm Walt, Moody, sports editor of the Winchester Star, along with staff writers Robert Niedzwiecki and Robert Stocks. We're going to be talking about a very thin schedule this week. We only have 3 games this coming Friday night, only one of them in the area. Hanley hosts Fauquier in a rare 4:30 game at the Hanley Bowl. The other 2 games are on the road. Millbrook and Kettle Run, battle of 2 5-0 teams are at Kettle Run, and Clark County still unbeaten at 5-0 is at Warren County, which is 2-2. First, Rob, talk about the Hanley ball game. Faukier's 1-3 coming in. Hanley's 2-3.
Yeah, Hanley's coming off a game against Kettle Run, which is undefeated, but lost 37-6. Big plays was kind of a big factor in that one. 95-yard interception return for a touchdown, couple safeties. So they hope that they could be a little better this week against Fauquier. But Faukier's a good team despite its 1-3 record. They give Millbrook problems, scoring 31 points in the 53-31 loss. And Kevin Chavis is he's kind of built the same size as Millbrook's Savon Smith, but he's really hard to bring down. He's not quite as elusive, but Millbrook had a hard time wrapping him up. He had 23 carries for 107 yards. So Hanley really is going to have to focus on him, but we're going to have a successful week.
Robert, we'll go to Millbrook at Kettle Run, the top 2 teams right now in the VHSL region 4C rankings. Talk a little about this big showdown.
It's kind of a big test for both teams at this point. The top 2 teams in the ratings, like you mentioned, and both teams have been piling up the offensive stats so far this year. Kettle Run's averaging about 40 points per game, and they like to have some balance on offense behind quarterback Cason Chumley, who's passed for over 800 yards, and he has 12 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. And then they have a pair of running backs who have rushed for over 350 yards, and Ridge Scott and Cade Campbell, and those 2 have combined for 10 touchdowns on the ground. So that'll probably be a good matchup to watch against Millbrook's run defense, which as well as Millbrook's been playing, they have been giving up some yards on the ground. Last week they gave up 258 yards rushing, so facing a team that likes to have some balance and can put some points on the board, that might be a good matchup to watch. On the other side, the Pioneers' offense has been as explosive as ever. They're averaging over 50 points a game, and they had 246 yards rushing on 33 carries and a 53-31 win over Fauquier last week. So, both offenses are pretty explosive, and it'll just be interesting to see how each defense handles the other one. And the Pioneers playmaker Savon Smith had 254 total yards and 5 touchdowns. 3 of those were receiving and 2 were on the ground. And quarterback Isaac Brown also threw for 177 yards and those 3 touchdowns. So, definitely some playmakers on the field, and it should be interesting to see how each defense handles the other team.
Okay, our final matchup, Clark at Warren County. Rob, this one looks like it's going to be a couple of pretty good running backs that are going to be on each sideline.
Yeah, a couple of workhorse guys, because you got Peyton Rutherford of Clark, who has well over 1,000 yards rushing. He's rushed for at least 3 touchdowns in every game. But Warren County's got a guy in Ronnie Dodson who's 2 weeks ago against James Wood, he had 241 yards and 3 touchdowns and 32 carries. And last week in a close win over Strasburg, 46 carries for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I'm sure both teams are going to look to establish that, and Clark always does. And Warren County inserted a freshman quarterback 2 games ago, Bryce Post, who seems to have energized them a little bit. Warren County's on a 2-game winning streak. But, there's a good rivalry that, Clark has usually handled pretty well, but, Warren County is getting better. So, Clark County's not taking them lightly.
That does it for this week's games. Sharando and James Wood have bye weeks. Join us on Friday nights at WinStar Sports 1 for live tweets about how each game is going, and we'll see you next week.